Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by. We're going to talk about the Houston Dash and their 2026 season preview. And crazy thing is, I thought this would be a short video, and the more I started looking into the Dash, I realized I'd missed a bunch of stuff over the winter, and there was probably a little more to talk about than I thought. I think Houston Dash is one of these teams that could mess around and all of a sudden become a real playoff problem for other people. Not a title favorite, okay, not a Shield favorite, but a team that definitely nobody's going to love playing when things start to click for them because Houston definitely has something now. A spine, a few star, a core spine. I'm not questioning their courage or anything like that. A few stars and a clearer identity, and maybe finally enough pieces to stop looking like a team that is always almost there. Okay, let's start with I don't know, maybe the obvious foundation. That team begins with Jane Campbell. Okay, she's the captain, she's the leader, she's definitely the safety net. And when you have one of the best goalkeepers in the league, you are never out of the fight. Okay, and then there's Patterson. Okay, point is she's not just a good young player; she's one of the faces of the club now. You know, best 11 level, defender of the year caliber type of thing that could happen for her. She got a big extension, I believe, okay? And that brings some big responsibility. And she's not the future anymore. She's the present along with the future. And she's the now. And in the attack, I think you got to look at, Yasmin Ryan, okay? She's the player that Houston's going to need to be electric and bring them some points. She's got to be the player that tilts the field for them and gets them some points that wins you games. She's the player that defenses are definitely going to need to worry about. And if she's clicking, that's going to be Houston climbing the standings pretty quick. And Ryan, she has to be one of the reasons why. So if your team has Campbell and Patterson and Ryan, that's a pretty good through the middle right there. You have a chance to matter. So if you have some supporting players that can lift it up, and other stars, well, now you see where I'm going with this preview. Okay, so you've got Nielsen bringing some experience, and you've got Berkeley bringing another strong defensive piece to the table. You've got Van Zanten. Okay, she adds some energy for you that you need up front, and up front you got players like what am I saying here? Who do we have? Sorry, just lost my train of thought for a minute. You've got Bright and Larisi up front, okay, and those two give you more attacking options than they've had in some of the last seasons, okay. But let's get to the offseason stuff because Houston did not just sit still. They brought in some new players that they really hope can push this team forward instead of it, I don't know, keeping it stuck in neutral, if you will. And one of the biggest names to watch is going to be, Kate Fiassi, okay? And hopefully I said that correctly. Because that's not just a lightweight addition. Okay? She's got a pedigree like some of the others that have come into the league this year. And she's a player that should bring them some production. She's a player that could also, be one of those really big impact rookies if she adjusts quickly, okay? Some of the other players they added should give them more depth for what's going on in the roster. Kate Harden for one should give some depth, and that tells you Houston's trying to get that level up. Okay, they're not content with where they've been the last couple seasons, so they made moves not to just patch holes but to refresh that roster. Okay, they want to do more than survive this year. And I think some of the most important new pieces are the ones who arrived, recently. I think they're about to make some more moves as we're recording this video. But like I said, Larissa is one of the big things, and they needed her pace. They need her directness at times, and she needs to be dangerous on a week in, week out, basis. I think Berkeley gives them another proven defender who should probably help with, not just depth, but make that line stable. Don't ship those terrible goals that they've done at times, okay? And I think those additions add some serious bite to them as well because, they lost, 9 players, I believe, okay? Just to name a couple. Natalie Jacobs is gone. West is gone. Bachman is gone. Oliveri is gone. And there's probably 5 or 6 more players that are gone. Now, I'm sorry. West is out on loan. She will return, but I think it's a season-long loan at this point. So it's not just the same team plus extras. It's a reshaped roster a bit, and that matters because, even though chemistry matters, balance also matters on your roster. And when I look at it, I just say, there's some stability there that wasn't before, in my opinion. Now, it still has to come together on the field, and so that's where really the question of Houston is living right now in my head. Will that stability come quickly? Okay. I think now they can actually look in and see who their best 11 are, or at least their best 14, and have consistency in the day-to-day roster picking for games. But can this team score enough? Can they create enough? Can they punish teams consistently when the opportunities arrive and finish their chances? And I think they're going to be more than competitive defensively, but it's going to come back to the goal scoring. And I think if Ryan really just clicks this season with everyone coming in, then that's what they needed. Okay, and I think they're going to scare a few teams very early on with the way they perform. I just have this feeling about Houston for some reason. I do think missing Schmidt in the midfield for long-term availability might be a slight problem. She's a veteran; she can organize and that, but so that just means the other midfielders are going to have to do more. So I don't think Houston's like the top tier contender in the top three, but I do see them making the playoffs this year. They're not Orlando. They're not Kansas City. Sure. Okay. They're not one of the heavyweights, if you will. But I think they can definitely be a playoff dark horse. And I've not said that about many of the teams that were in the bottom half last year. But Houston just have this thing. And sometimes it only takes one or two moves to make you rise in this league. And again, this league is unforgiving. But a couple things can make the difference. You get a breakout star, a little continuity, a little more belief, okay, the right system for the right roster, etc. And Houston will go from annoying to actually good. And I think that's going to happen for them this season. So they're not going to be the flashiest. They're not going to be the scariest. But I look at that roster, and I think they can grind out some results that puts them where they need to be in the table. And that should be good news for you Houston Dash fans because whereas they may be one of the trickiest teams to really bet on, like where you're going to wager on them to finish, which, again, always sucks when you're picking that wrong. But if that attack clicks just a little more than expected, then Houston could absolutely be in the thick of the playoff fight this year. So the final verdict is this. Houston Dash are not a top-tier contender, but they definitely have the ability to not only just be in the conversation for the playoffs, but be somebody who can make some noise, okay? So they're going to make some people very uncomfortable in 2026. So best of luck to you, Houston Dash, and your fans, and we'll see you in the next video. And then one last thing, if you made it this far, there's some links below that you could help my family out if you're willing to share, and that, and maybe buy a exclusive U.S. soccer hat from our site. My wife's going through a terrible cancer fight for the last year and a half. As you could read about in those links. And I hate to sit here and beg, but it's always nice to get some help. So maybe think about liking, subscribing, sharing the video, and we will see you in the next one. Okay? Take care.